Hello everyone. So thank you for joining us. Thank you for being on time. So I think we'll give the others around 2 minutes and then we can start. But thank you for joining us. We'll start in a few. Meanwhile, I can just dive into the introductions. So my name is Nancy Moretti, and I coordinate and lead the campus program for Hijacking Kenya. And on the call, we have Maria. Maria, she's, I think you can introduce yourself, Maria.
Hi everyone, my name is Maria. I am the She Hacks intern and social media person, and I basically facilitate the meetings that go on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Yeah, thanks for having me, I guess.
Thank you. Thank you. So our speaker today, her name is Victory Kishuki, and she'll take us through cybersecurity in cloud computing, because cloud computing is it's an expansive field, right? Especially right now, and I think it will continue to grow in future. So, okay, before I continue, Tony has just joined us. We lead the campus program with him. So, Tony, you can introduce yourself and maybe introduce the speaker, and then we can start.
Hello guys, sorry for that delay. Thanks so much, Nancy. Thanks everyone for joining. I'm Tony Gidraff, and we lead these campus editions with Nancy and Maria. So yeah, today we'll be talking about cloud computing security with Victory, and I think that's all. Maybe Victory, you can just unmute and welcome to the session.
Hello guys.
Hello, Victory. You can start. Yes.
Okay, just give me a few minutes to sort my internet, please.
Okay. Okay, so before she starts, maybe I can give, we can discuss a little about cloud computing, what it entails. In case maybe you haven't maybe interacted with cloud computing. So I believe today we can connect everything digitally through cloud computing, as it provides a whole new world of jobs, applications, services, and platforms. And I think we can see the future of cloud computing as a combination of cloud-based software products and on-premises compute, which can help to create hybrid IT solutions. So I think everyone here has maybe interacted with Gmail, Google Photos, whereby even if I lost my phone, I can still back up everything. If I get a new one, if I get a new handset, I can back up everything to my current phone. So gone are the days whereby we had Okay, sorry, I was admitting someone. Sorry. Okay, so gone are the days whereby companies, firms needed a physical server. So right now we can actually store data. We can actually store data and work on recovery. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so I was saying, gone are the days whereby firms and companies felt the need to have physical servers, because that was what happening before, whereby we have physical servers, whereby we store information, data, everything. So that became risky because of data loss in case of maybe an accident. So I believe maybe Victoria, I don't know if you're set and you can start. Awesome. So you can start, you can take over.
Okay, thank you, Nancy. Hello, guys. My name is Victory Mothoni. I'm a fifth-year student at Multimedia University of Kenya, taking electrical and telecommunication engineering. And today I'll take you through cybersecurity in cloud system. I'll try to be as brief as possible, and I hope you'll understand. Okay, I'll just share my screen now. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, sure, it's visible.
Okay, we'll start with a brief introduction. I believe Nancy has taken you through the introduction already, but to define cloud computing, it's basically sharing of computing resources among a community of resources. In the industry today, there's a lot of data in companies, in businesses, and we find that the storage capacity is not enough. So cloud computing is an important resource that has come by to help people, to help companies, to help businesses safely store their data. Cybersecurity is a body of technologies or processes and practices designed to protect networks, devices, programs, and data from attack, damage, or unauthorized access. So it's important to know to if you want to venture into cloud computing, or if you want to store your data in your cloud, it's important, or it's it's necessary to ensure that your data is safe. That's why we'll discuss about cybersecurity in cloud computing today. Types of cloud environment, or there are many types. There are three types of cloud deployment models, or types of cloud environments. There's a public cloud, a private cloud, and a hybrid cloud. A public cloud is an environment owned by an outsourced cloud provider. It is accessible to many businesses through the internet, mainly on a pay-per-use model. A public cloud is maybe, for example, Amazon, like even Google Cloud. In short, it's a public cloud, and it's open to many businesses and available mainly on pay-per-use model. That means that the business will pay according to its use. It is ideal for businesses who want to save money on IT operational costs, because the model provides services and infrastructure. That means that the cloud provider will provide the business with infrastructure like servers, and will provide services like customer service. Yeah. The cloud provider is, however, responsible for the creation and maintenance of your resources. Now, these are the services that the cloud provider provides in a public cloud. It is ideal for small and medium-sized businesses with a tight budget requiring a quick and easy platform. A private cloud, it is an infrastructure owned by a single business, and it has a more controlled environment. And it's like there are some businesses who want a more private infrastructure. So these businesses create their own cloud. This is what we mean when we say a private cloud. It's more private and not open to the public. Its model can be externally hosted or managed in-house. It is expensive but has a higher level of security and more autonomy to customize the storage, networking, and compute components that suit the IT requirements. So it is more compact, more autonomous, such that the company can do whatever they want to do with their cloud. There are no restrictions because it's theirs. While a hybrid cloud, in a hybrid cloud, you get the benefits of both private and a public cloud deployment model because it provides more tailored IT solution that meets specific business requirements. It is flexible and scalable, and it is also cost effective. So it is cost effective just like the public cloud, and it is also flexible and scalable like the private cloud. Are we together up to there?
Oh, okay. You can just maybe type in the chat box if you're clear, if you're together up to there. Thank you.
Okay. We also have service models of cloud computing. If you have any question, you can type in the chat box. We have service models of cloud computing. We have main three service models of cloud computing. We have infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. Just by their names, in the infrastructure as a service, we offer fundamental infrastructures like virtual servers, network operating systems, and data storage drives. In the platform as a service, the cloud providers deploy the infrastructure and software framework, but the businesses can develop and run their own applications. In short, in the platform as a service, the business is given its own platform to run and to develop their own applications as they please, but the infrastructure and software will be deployed by the cloud provider. In the software as a service model, the deployment of software over the internet to various businesses who pay via subscription or a pay-per-use model. Here, the business providers provide the cloud providers provide the business with the software over internet, yeah, and they will pay for the software per subscription or as a per pay, or they will pay per use, or yeah. In cloud computing, before you choose a cloud deployment for your business, it is important to note various security issues or to ask yourself questions like the client server security. How is the client server security? Because in cloud computing, we mainly base our services as per the client and the server. It's also important to ask yourself the location and the control of data, how data is controlled, how data is controlled, and where the data is controlled at. There are traditional data centers and there's the public cloud. In the traditional data centers, it's one of the advantages of having a traditional data center is that the provider and the client know about the data flow. You will know the exact data location, and you will know precautions used for security. You'll know how the providers are protecting your data from unauthorized access. But a disadvantage with a traditional data center is that there are many legal governance issues, there's a legal governance over data. So your providers have a legal governance over your data, and
Hi,
there
Victoria.
could
We can't
be
really hear you.
okay, sorry. I was saying it's important to ask yourself security issues when it comes to cloud computing. Ask yourself questions like how the security is between the client and the server. How much will the client have access to your data? It's also important to know the location and control of data. It's also important to know the security network of your data. I was talking about the location and control of data, talking about traditional data centers and public cloud and in the public cloud. And I said that in a traditional data center, the provider and the client will know about the data flow. Can everyone hear me now?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. So in the traditional
Yes.
data centers, thank you. In the traditional data centers, the provider and the client will know about the data flow, and the client will also know the exact data location. The client will also know the precautions used for security. However, in a traditional data center, there's legal governance over your data, and there could be disputes or issues arising between a provider and a client. But in a public cloud, there's the advantage of cost saving and low maintenance, because there will be no physical infrastructure to maintain. But a con or a disadvantage in a public cloud is the infrastructure has to be shared with unknown people. So there's the issue of security, and modifying security measures is exclusively done by the provider. So the client may have no means to check if these measures are okay according to their terms or requirements. So it's important before you consider a particular cloud that you understand the location and the control of that data. It's also important to understand the network security of your cloud provider. Because cloud mainly uses the internet, and using internet could expose the data to unauthorized access, or data that was previously stored in the internet firewalls could be at risk of having unauthorized access. There are also apps used in organizations' internet or the internet of an organization that could be exposed to networking threats. So it's important to know the security of your network. How strong is the firewall of that network? It's also important to ask yourself if the data, like, what are the backup plans of your data? What is the data recovery system in the cloud computing? Or how can you secure your data in the cloud? Or installation and maintenance of the firewall, how the data is encrypted. We'll talk about that later. I'll just briefly go through them, and the backup and recovery. So it's important at the back of your mind while considering cloud, ask yourself these questions, because they will help you in choosing the best cloud service for your data. Okay. Then we'll go through, sorry. We'll go through security threats or the why are we studying cybersecurity in cloud computing? Because cloud computing could be exposed to various threats like DNS attacks, Sniffer attacks, issue of reused IP address, distributed denial of service, DBGP prefix hijacking. We'll discuss this in detailed form. In a DNS attack A DNS stands for domain name server, and a DNS translates a domain name to an IP address. I don't know if I'm talking to 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 people who know what an IP address is, but in case you don't know some of these terms, just ask in the chat box and I'll respond to them as much as I can. So a DNS is a domain name server, and its purpose or its main function is to translate a domain name to an IP address. There are different DNS security measures put in place, including one that is known as Domain Name System Security Extension, or DNSSEC. And DNSSEC reduces the effects of DNS attacks. Even after this measure, or even after using this measure, still there are cases when the security measures prove to be insufficient. A case is like when the path between a sender and a receiver gets rerouted through an unauthorized connection. When you reroute, if for instance if I was coming from A to B using route, let's say C, and someone comes or someone else reroutes that from C to D without my knowledge. So if I had put in place if I had put in place security measures in route C, route D will have no security measures. So even with security measures, sometimes DNS attacks may occur, and they may occur especially when a path of data is rerouted, or when we reroute. When we reroute, I don't know how to put it, or when we use a connection that was not authorized, when we use an unauthorized connection. Yes. Then we go to the sniffer attack. A sniffer program through the NIC. NIC stands for Network Interface Card, ensures that the data or the traffic linked to other systems on the network also gets recorded. It records, it's like a mirror. It records, I don't know, it records data or traffic that are linked to other systems. It's like a recorder, yeah. And it copies that data and uses that data. So a hacker or someone that has unauthorized access can record that data and use it for their own unauthorized use. It can be achieved by placing the NIC in a promiscuous mode, and in that mode, it can track all data flowing on the same network. It's like, yeah, it sniffs, in short, it sniffs data through your route, through your system, and records that data into that card. Yeah, into that NIC. A malicious sniffing detection platform based on ARP. ARP is Address Resolution Protocol, and RTT, round trip time, can be used to detect a sniffing system running on a network. So to detect that sniffing tool or a sniffing system, you can use a system or a platform that is based on Address Resolution Protocol and a round trip time, because it will help you determine, for instance, in a round trip time will help you determine if data was supposed to move at a particular time, or transfer data from A to B at a particular time. A round trip time, a system that is based on these two platforms, a system that is based on ARP and RTT will help you detect. It will help you know that there's something wrong with how your data is moving, or with how your data packets are moving in a system. We also have the issue of reused IP address. An IP is an internet protocol. It is basically like it's like a name that identifies a system. It's an address that identifies a particular system. So each node of a network has its own IP address, and reusing IP addresses could be a threat, because if, for instance, I was a user in one network using a particular IP address, then I move out of that network and go to another network for some reason, then if the IP address that I was associated with is assigned to a new user, it could be a risk of security. It could be a security risk to the new user, because there could be a certain time lag between the change of an IP address in DNS and the clearing of that address in the DNS caches. Yeah, so reusing an IP address is not very ideal, because it could pose as a security threat. We have also DBGP prefix hijacking. Prefix hijacking, it is a type of network attack in which a wrong announcement related to the IP address associated with an autonomous system is made. It's like I'm trying to make this easy in case we have an audience that do not know that do not know what these terms are. So it's like spreading a rumor. Yeah, it's like spreading a rumor in a system. Malicious parties then get access to the untraceable IP address. On the internet, IP space is associated in blocks and remains under the control of ASs. ASs are these autonomous systems. So when an AS, an autonomous system, can broadcast information of an IP contained in its region to all its neighbors using a model known as Border Gateway Protocol. Sometimes a faulty autonomous system may broadcast wrongly about the IPs associated with it. So it will broadcast like a wrong announcement related to the IP addresses that are associated with it. If this happens, the actual traffic gets rerouted to some IP other than the intended one. Hence, data is leaked to some unintended destination. I hope we have understood that. Yeah, then we go to, but in case there's any question, feel free to ask in the chat box. Then we go to the other attack. It's known as distributed denial of service. This is a cloud-specific attack in which an attack source is always more than one. In short, or in other words, multiple machines attack on a user by sending packets with large data overhead or using fragmented IP packets with a fixed payload. So this attack happens in such a way, it's like an attacker sending many arrows in different directions. Yeah, I don't know if I explained that correctly, but yeah, the attack source is always more than one, and it uses like fragmented IP packets. In short, it uses many IP packets and overloads your system. Such attacks, the resources are unavailable to the user by overwhelming the network with unwanted traffic. So if you have many arrows coming at you, you do not have like enough resources to arm yourself. I don't know, like coming at you in all directions. You don't have enough, and you don't have like enough resources to protect yourself. This is how DDoS works. It attacks through many, or it overloads a system, and the system gets overwhelmed such that it cannot defend itself. An example of this attack happened in March 2013 when attackers used DNS amplification to attack the spam prevention service with as much as 300 gigabits of traffic. So you can imagine this is a very huge traffic, 300 gigabytes. So the attackers used this huge traffic to attack spam. Yeah, that's how DDoS works basically. that's it on security threats. We are going to tackle some, not all of them, some security solutions to these attacks. There are so many security solutions that are used in cloud computing, like multiple authenticity, such that you have many people, like before you are allowed as access to the system, you have many ways of identifying that you are who you say you are. There is also having a strong password. Yeah, but these measures, as much as they are used, that doesn't mean that the cloud system is 100% 100% secure. So as time goes by, the security, however, strengthens. And I'll talk about only 3 solutions. Yeah, the first solution is known as asymmetric key cryptography. I'll just read across and briefly explain. The same key is used for encryption and decryption. Before the data is transferred, the key is shared between both the receiver and the sender. The sender then sends the data after having encrypted it using the key, and the receiver decrypts it using the same key. So in asymmetric key cryptography, we have the same key for the receiver and the sender. The sender and the receiver have a similar key, and you cannot decrypt that data unless you have the key. Yes. So when before the data is transferred, the key is shared between both the receiver and the sender. Then the data is shared. The sender will first encrypt that data and send it to the receiver. The receiver will then decrypt it using the same key. We have asymmetric key cryptography. Now, in asymmetric key cryptography, there are 2 types of keys, known as the public key and the private key. The public key is common for both the sender and the receiver, and the private key is used to decrypt the data from the sender. So the private key is at the receiver's end only, but the public key is common for both the sender and the receiver. So the sender will encrypt the data before sending it to the receiver, and then the receiver will use the private key to decrypt the data. The third one that we'll talk about is having a cloud firewall. I'll briefly discuss this. Cloud firewalls is a huge discussion, but just to define what a cloud firewall is, they are software-based cloud deployed network devices that are built to stop or mitigate unwanted access to private networks. They are designed for modern business needs and fit within online application environments. So they are mainly online, or they mainly use internet, and they are software-based. I don't know how they are. In short, a cloud firewall is, from its name, a wall. It encloses, like it protects your data from unauthorized access, or from attacks, from external attacks. Yeah, and it is like a mandatory for a cloud server, for a cloud provider to install a firewall. And it's also important to have an assessment of firewall policies, because these policies are what creates the firewall, and rules that set and reconfigure the router or the cloud should be done in regular intervals. So regularly, a cloud provider should have an assessment of firewall policies and rules, or configurations that govern, or that govern these firewalls. And these firewalls, they help deny access to unauthorized users, and they adequately log events such that you know which user tried to access data A, which user tried to access data B. So they adequately log events and inform you, or inform the client and the provider of of any event that happened in their data. They also restrict access from systems that have direct external connection and those that contain confidential data. So they are important for a cloud server because they strictly protect or secure your data. That is all I have for today's discussion. I hope we understood something, if not everything. Yes, I'll hand the microphone over to Nancy. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much, Victory, for the informative session. So I think we'll just dive to the questions bit. If there are any questions, inquiries, yes, feel free to maybe type it in the chat box, and Tony or I can read it out for the presenter. So feel free to ask the questions. And also, Tony has shared the link to our Discord community, so you can maybe join us on Discord for updates and opportunities. So yes, feel free to ask the questions. It was quite an informative session. And I think someone asked if we can have a practical bit of the same. Definitely, we'll definitely get to do that. So yes, I'm just awaiting a question. Yes, feel free to ask the questions, even if you're completely new to cloud computing. And like I said, when we started, that cloud computing is a thing that is here with us and will continue to grow in the future. So yes, feel free to ask. Just type it in the chat box.
Good evening. Good evening.
Hi.
My name is Faris. I wanted to ask, are there roles in cloud computing that don't require a coding background?
Okay. Victory, will you take up that one?
Yes, there are main roles in cloud computing do not require a coding background because, for instance, I have interacted with Azure, Microsoft Azure, and you don't have to have any coding background to interact with that. You only have to be trained on how to interact with the platform, but you don't have to have a coding background.
Yes.
I think I can see a question.
Hey, have I answered your question?
Yes, you've answered my question. I'm okay.
Okay, Victoria, I think there's a question for you in the chat. When securing cloud platforms, how will you independently handle SaaS, PaaS, and other services to provide good security? Okay, somebody is asking for the video. It's like we are actually live on YouTube. Let me share the link.
SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS, they are models, as in you don't have to have all of them while choosing a cloud server that is appropriate. You only choose one of them or two of them according to your services or according to the services that you want to have. For instance, if you are a coder and if you want to develop a software, you could opt to use to use PaaS, platform as a service, because it gives you the platform to code whatever you want to code, to create whatever you want to create. Yeah, if you want infrastructure, if you want like more space or more servers in your business, you could go for infrastructure as a service, because it gives you the extra storage capacity. It gives you extra servers for your business. I mean, I'm trying to say, as in, you don't have to have the 3 modules. So once you choose one of them, for instance, if you choose to have infrastructure as a service, you will deploy security measures that suit the infrastructure as a service. You will have like firewall policies that safely secure your data in your servers. I don't know if I've explained. Have I answered your question? Have I answered your question, Kevin Mugo?
Okay, let me ask another question. If there is a path that somebody can follow, because for me, I only did AZ 900 last year and I passed, and from there I was a little bit blank. I didn't know to go to AZ 503 for the security, or maybe I start doing the Amazon certifications, as in niliwachia top after AZ 900.
Sijapata swali yako vizuri. Ati ulifanya na Azure 900?
Yes, I did AZ 900 last year. And then after that nilikuwa blank, which is the next thing to follow. Maybe I go and do some little bit of coding. I create applications for computing, or any as in I was nilikuwa tu blank mpaka nikarudi tu kwa nini yangu, nikarudi tu kwa coding tu zangu.
With cloud computing, you don't have to code, but kama ulifanya na if you had a training on Microsoft Azure, then you can venture, like you can do services, or you can practice more on the Microsoft Azure platform, because they have so many things, but it is very detailed. Hakuna si cloud peke yake iko hapo, so you can even code. If you are into coding, they also have platforms for coding. You can code inside the Microsoft Azure, then it can open opportunities for you. As in, you don't have to go to Amazon, but if you want to go to Amazon, you can also go to Amazon.
Okay, thanks for that, Victoria. I can see another question. What are the security aspects provided with cloud? I think like maybe the security advantages that comes with using the cloud computing platform.
Hello. Hello, everyone. I don't know why I can't hear anything from my end. Tony?
Yeah, I think Victory, maybe she's having issues because I can't hear her also.
Okay, before she answers the question that has been recently been asked, maybe I can add something. Sorry, I was letting someone in. So maybe I can add something in regards to, there's a question that was asked on the path for cloud computing. So I think recently there are quite a number of certifications in Microsoft, for Amazon, and for Google. So currently there's an ongoing scholarship. I think I'll share the link in a few, for GADS, Google Africa Developers Scholarship, and they have 3 tracks. So there's Android, you have web development, and you have cloud, associate cloud engineer, the ACE exams for Google. So for this scholarship, I think I'll maybe mention a bit about it, whereby you register and then you pick one track. So for me last year, I did the associate cloud engineer certification. So from all this, there's also, I think last month, there was a challenge. I don't know if the challenge is still on right now, by Microsoft, whereby you're supposed to cover like a number of required content, and then you get a free voucher to do an examination. So in all this, I'm saying that there are quite a number of certifications. Actually, Microsoft recently launched new security certifications. We have Microsoft SC200, whereby it's about Microsoft Security Operations Analyst. This is beginner level. Allow me to let someone in. We have, there was the SC300, what I did, Microsoft Identity and Access Administrator. It's all, this is, it's advanced. This is an advanced certification. We also have, they also launched Microsoft SC400, which deals with Microsoft Information Protection Administrator. There is Microsoft SC900. So for all this, there are quite a number of, if I think the best advice I would give is for you maybe to figure out what exactly, which cloud server service provider you would love to focus on. If it's Microsoft, if it's Amazon, if it's Google. But I would suggest for beginner level, before maybe you kind of land a job or surrounded with cloud computing or cloud security, I would advise if you could do a little bit of all, right? If you could maybe have skills in Google, have skills in Microsoft, the Microsoft platform. You can also have skills with Amazon, AWS. So that would be my advice. Before, for beginner series, for beginner level, just try have skills in all, because for a beginner, it's hard for you to maybe to land a job. If you find a scholarship or you get an opportunity to do a certification, maybe in Azure, go for it. AWS, go for it. ACE, go for it. So that's what I would say. Victory, maybe you can take up the next question.
The question was an example of services which services can a cloud computing practitioner implement within the laws of Kenya? Especially in the world today, we have a lot of data that needs to be stored all over in almost every sector. For instance, recently the Ministry of Land, they launched a software for land management and control. I don't know, is that correct? So you say this is data that needs to be controlled, data that needs to be managed. So I'm sure they use cloud for that, for the data that they get on a daily basis. There are also many businesses that have data coming in, data going out. We also have, like in the healthcare sector, where we have researchers or practitioners that need cloud services for their research or for their data control, or even now with this COVID situation, most universities are using e-learning. So in that e-learning platform, there's also data that needs to be managed, like the units that I am doing, or the units or my performance. I mean, there are so many sectors, but I could think of those for now. But when you come to think of it, right now we have a lot of data all over in almost every business that needs to be managed, and anywhere where there is data, there is a need for cloud computing services. Yes, I can answer like that for now. Have I answered your question, Kevin? Or even in food factories, or not even food factories alone, any factory, any industry that is dealing with with production and manufacturing, there's a need for data. There's a need for cloud services to handle or to manage or to control the data that is in that business.
Okay, thanks so much, Victoria, for that answer. In case Kevin, you still have a question, can just ask. There was another one. What are the security aspects provided with cloud?
Sorry, what are the security aspects?
Provided with cloud computing. I think maybe the security advantages that comes with using the cloud computing platform.
Oh, we have, for instance, the issue of the of having there are cloud firewalls. Like each and every cloud provider, they have their own firewalls. So a cloud comes with its own firewall, so that's a security advantage. Also a cloud is as secure as it comes. Okay, apart from they are definitely not, it's definitely not 100% proof from security threats, but cloud services come with their own security advantages, like the ones that we've talked about. Data. Sorry about that. Once you put your data into the cloud, it gets automatically encrypted. So so there's it so there's also the advantage of cryptography that comes with the cloud. Yes, I can say those two are for sure: firewall and cryptography. Hey, have I answered your question?
Okay. I think I've just shared the link to maybe if you want to pick the cloud path for the guards challenge. And don't feel overwhelmed. It's beginner. It starts from very basic things such as cloud computing. How does cloud computing affect us? And from there, I wish you guys all the best. It's quite involving actually. Allow me to add. But if you persevere, the hard work and the long hours, you'll get a free voucher to do the associate cloud engineer by Google certification. So there's another question. I think I'll read by Kevin. There are services that usually have legal and compliance issues with moving them to the cloud. For example, hospital or banking systems. Which services can a cloud computing practitioner implement within the laws of Kenya? I think first you can answer that one, Victory, and then maybe I can read out the next one.
Hi Nancy, I answered that question. I gave a few examples of like the healthcare sector, multiple businesses, multiple industry and manufacturing sectors, e-learning institutions in higher education, and ministries, government ministries like the land ministry. Yeah.
Okay.
E-citizen. Yeah.
Okay, I think there's another one. Actually, how does one provide for change management, especially for those who are cemented into on-premise server setup? So, Victory? Okay. So feel free to ask any other question. Okay, so Rayford has commented, good to know that there is also the cloud security role and it's also marketable. Very much. It's very much marketable, especially like I said, when you're starting off, that cloud computing is here with us and they will only continue to get better with time. So there's another question from John. Does the cloud practitioner path require one to be versed with programming? Okay, this question was asked, but I think I can take that up maybe before Victory is back. So, basically no. I would say that basically no, especially if you're dealing with IAS. But when it comes to platform as a service, you might need some coding skills. But basically, no, you don't require programming skills for cloud computing actually. Because when you interact with the interface for cloud computing, you come and realize mostly what you run is commands. Mostly you run commands and maybe scripting there is necessary, but no, you don't need programming skills. Okay, Victory is back. So yes, Victory.
Yeah, I'd say the same. You don't necessarily need coding background, but there are some services that require you to have coding knowledge. Yes. It-
Okay, I don't know if there's any other question. Not generally, but several roles. Okay. Yes, Record has really shared his thoughts in some of the roles that will require coding, cloud engineer and cloud architecture. Again, I would love to highlight it depends with the service that you're providing, what exactly that you're dealing with. So I don't know if there are any other questions, but meanwhile, before maybe we wait for another question, Laura is in the call. She's one of the co-founders for Hijacking Kenya, and I definitely know she has something to tell us. So, Laura.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Nancy. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yes. So thank you, Vixie. This has been such a good presentation. It's amazing work you're doing, the whole campus outreach program led by Nancy and all the speakers that we've had since the very first event we had with you guys. And yes, cloud computing is very, very important, especially now small and medium enterprises are moving towards clouds. And so this is something that will become major if it's not already major. It will be major in a couple of years. And you all know that we have a skills gap when it comes to cybersecurity, especially in Kenya. We need more and more professionals. And so when you're trying to look at where you will fit in, consider cloud security. As Nancy and Victory mentioned, there are so many certifications you can take. We work closely with Microsoft, and they have Azure certifications that maybe you can take up. And also the question of security benefits of using cloud. Victor, you did well answering that question. Just maybe 2 or 3 more points I can add onto that is that protection against physical attacks. For example, the people using AWS servers instead of physical servers are don't have to worry about physical attacks. So yes, cloud solutions, they address this, they address the storage of data in the cloud, quote unquote, so you don't have to use physical security. Another thing is protection against distributed denial of services attacks. We know this has been very common, especially in the past. And so the way the cloud is built, it can handle, or it can it can protect against DDoS attacks, regardless of how big or how small your storage is. Maybe something else is, as you know, when you're using certain softwares, you'll always be sure of updates and patches. It's the same with cloud. So it comes with frequent updates and patches. So that's a very major security advantage of using cloud. So yes, thank you so much, Victory. I am going to pop out of this call soon, but it's been amazing catching up with you guys. If you have any question, you can reach me, or you can ask Nancy how to reach me, or other members of other senior members of Hijacking. So thank you guys.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. It is lovely hearing from you. I don't know if there are any other questions. David has shared a link for a free course on cloud security on Cyblary. And I would suggest if you enroll, make sure you finish the free course by the end of the month, because from next month, they offer free courses every other month. But again, from next month, once this free month is over, the course is limited. You don't actually have access to the contents. So yes, you can enroll for that, a free course on cloud security. And I don't know if there are any other questions, or maybe Tony, you have something to add?
Thanks so much, Nancy. I don't have anything more to add. Maybe I think then there aren't any more questions. Maybe we can just close the meeting.
Thank you everyone for joining us this evening. Thank you, Victory, for being a guest speaker. The session was very informative. Thank you, Nancy, for hosting, and Tony. And I'd like to wish you all a good evening if there's nothing more to be said. Thank you very much for attending.
Yes, thank you everyone for attending. And we have a session, a community edition session on Thursday. And the next campus edition will be next week. On Tuesday, we have campus editions every other Tuesday. So thank you for joining us. I think someone asked about the recording. The session is live on YouTube, so you can revert. There's a Hijacking Kenya YouTube channel, so you can revert after the session and maybe watch it at your own pace. And yes, we thank you once again for joining in. And yes, everyone, good night. Take care of yourselves. Tony, maybe you can say something and then we can just close the meeting. And also feel free to reach out to me or Tony, anyone, just feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions.
Thanks so much, guys, for joining. Let's meet on Thursday for the community session and next Tuesday for another session for the campus edition. Thanks so much. Good night.
Okay, good night, everyone.
Thank you. Good night.
I hope everyone has taken the links. That's why I haven't ended the meeting yet. So I'll give you a few minutes to do that.